All right, let's just jump right in. Today, in this explainer, we're putting on our detective hats to track down a silent thief that could literally be hiding right under your roof. We're going to walk through some incredibly practical, expert-backed ways to investigate your own plumbing. You don't need a badge for this one, but you absolutely need to know where to look.
So, looking at the source material, there's this startling and frankly pretty expensive fact. Unseen water leaks can drain thousands of gallons over time, and usually without you ever noticing any obvious signs. We're not talking about a random puddle under the kitchen sink that you can just wipe up with a towel. No, this is a silent, continuous flow that quietly drives up your utility bill and seriously puts your home at risk for long-term water damage, all while you're just going about your day.
So that brings us to the $1,000,000 or, the 1,000-gallon question. If the water is totally hidden behind drywall or under the floorboards or silently running down a pipe, how in the world do you catch a leak you can't actually see? Well, to solve this mystery, we have to look closely at our primary investigative gadget, which, lucky for us, is already installed on your property.
Here is our game plan for today. Part 1, the silent water thief. Part 2, finding your water meter. 3, analog versus digital meters. 4, the no-use test. 5, tracking down the leak. And finally, Part 6, calling in the pros.
Section 1. The silent water thief. Wasting water unseen.
This quote right here perfectly illustrates why we can't just rely on our eyes to spot a puddle. We actually need a more scientific approach to catch this thief. The key phrase to focus on is without obvious signs. Plumbers heavily emphasize that the fastest way to investigate this isn't to just start ripping into your drywall looking for wet spots. Instead, we want to use the data that's already being collected for you. We're going straight to the source of truth for your home's water consumption.
Section 2. Finding your water meter. Locating the device. Now, most meters are hiding in plain sight in a few common spots. Usually, you're going to want to look out near the street or the curb. Sometimes they're tucked behind a small access cover or, they might be hidden inside a landscaped box so they blend right in with your yard. Once you track it down, look for clear labels or markings, and hey, here is a super important pro tip from the source material. If your property actually has multiple meters, like let's say you have one for outdoor irrigation and a separate one for indoor use, make absolutely sure you're looking at the right one for the area you're testing.
Section 3. Analog vs. digital meters. Reading your meter.
Okay, so water meters basically fall into two categories. Digital meters are super straightforward, right? They just show your current usage right there on a numeric display. Analog meters, on the other hand, use rotating dials. But honestly, regardless of which type you have, your main goal is exactly the same. Find the low flow indicator. If you're looking at an analog meter, look for the absolute smallest dial, or sometimes it's a really sensitive red triangular indicator. That little dial, that is your best friend as a home detective. Because it's so sensitive, it'll spin with even the tiniest bit of water movement, which makes it absolutely perfect for spotting those sneaky leaks.
Moving on to Section 4, the no-use test, setting up a stakeout.
All right, following these exact steps will establish your baseline. We're essentially locking down the house so we can accurately monitor for any unauthorized water movement. First step, pick a block of time, ideally 1 to several hours, where zero water is going to be used. Honestly, overnight is usually perfect for this. Step 2, get a before reading. The easiest way to do this? Just grab your smartphone and snap a clear photo so you have the exact numbers or dial positions saved. And step 3 is crucial. Make sure the home is truly at rest. That means absolutely no running faucets, no dishwashers, no washing machines, definitely no sprinklers, and make sure nobody gets up to flush a toilet. The house has to be completely locked down.
Then, after your waiting period is up, like the next morning, go back out there and check the meter again. Compare it to your baseline photo to interrogate those results. So if there's no change, awesome, congratulations. You likely don't have an active leak. But if you do notice a small change, especially on that sensitive low flow dial we talked about, well, that points to a minor seep or maybe a running toilet. And if you see a very clear ongoing change on the main display, that suggests a much bigger leak. Or, somebody in your house completely ignored the rules and used the water.
Now, any good detective knows you never rely on just one single piece of evidence, right? The source material highly recommends that you repeat the test on another day, or even extend the monitoring window just to improve your accuracy. You might be wondering, why do that? Well, leaks can actually fluctuate. Believe it or not, things like changes in temperature, municipal water pressure, and even your household routines can totally change how and when a leak shows up. So doing multiple checks will help confirm your results and make sure you aren't just chasing a ghost.
Section 5. Tracking down the leak. Interrogate suspects.
Okay, so you know the water's moving, but your meter isn't going to tell you where. You've got to work your way through a lineup of the usual suspects. First, listen to your toilets. Are they hissing or refilling way after a flush? Go check all your faucets for any slow drips. Take a look under your sinks at the shutoff valves. Oh, and here is a massive takeaway from the pros. A ton of hidden leaks are actually linked to your outdoor irrigation system, so make absolutely certain your sprinklers are completely off during this investigation.
Let's actually talk about a specific pro tip for one of the absolute worst offenders out there, your toilet. To catch a sneaky toilet leak, here's what you do. Drop a few drops of food coloring or a specific dye tablet right into the tank at the back of the toilet. Do not flush it. Just wait. If you start seeing that color slowly creeping into the toilet bowl a few minutes later, boom, you just caught your culprit red-handed, or, blue-handed, depending on what color dye you used. Basically, it means water is silently and constantly leaking past your flapper valve. Finally, Section 6. Calling in the pros. When to get help. Look, sometimes even the best home detective has to hand the case over to the experts. If you're doing these no-use tests and repeatedly seeing that meter move, but you just cannot find the source after checking the basics, it is time to call in a licensed plumber. This is especially true if you think the leak is buried deep inside your walls or under a concrete floor. Plumbers have some pretty amazing high-tech tools. We're talking acoustic listing equipment, pressure testing gear, the whole shebang, to pinpoint those invisible leaks safely and efficiently. That way, you don't have to literally smash open your walls just to guess where the water's coming from.
And hey, before you totally panic about getting an astronomically high water bill, definitely look into utility assistance programs. A lot of providers will actually offer free meter testing just to confirm the device itself isn't broken. Some even offer leak assistance programs or bill forgiveness if you can prove you're actively repairing a hidden leak that caused that spike in your consumption. So it's absolutely worth checking out.
All right, we've gone through the whole protocol, from hunting down your meter to running the no-use test and interrogating the usual suspects. You've got the tools and you have the knowledge to be your own home detective. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Right now, outside your house, data is being recorded. Before any major property damage happens, or before next month's bill gets totally out of hand, what is your water meter trying to tell you? Go outside, check your gadget, and solve the mystery.